What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by AP. And AP, before we went on, we were kind of talking about what a wacky week it was in the NBA. And I said, hey, why don't we just continue this conversation for the people live with the rundown? So why don't you kind of continue your thoughts, right? Thought it might kind of settle down, right? As the playoff people are still fighting for playoff position. Injury reports weren't as wacky, but I still thought it was a tough week to navigate. Tyler did it. The guy seemed to win every bet, but I had some problems. How did you navigate this week?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a weird week. Like, we're breaking it down last night. You're at 7, got the start alongside Bam, and obviously Spoelstra. He's he likes to switch it up quite often, and I think he only played like 7 minutes. And then the night before, I was pretty high on Cleveland. I like the spot that Garland was in, coming off injury, even though he looked phenomenal at the All-Star game. And so I played him, got him at low ownership, and they get blown out at home against the Hornets. So, and then, games that I wasn't on, like the Pacers or Magic, I believe they were playing each other. They go to OT. So, I mean, this happens all the time throughout the season, and it's just one of those times where you gotta kind of navigate your way through the slate. And I think we get another fun one tonight with a lot of good pieces, at least DFS wise. I'm just now diving in to find my best bets, but I think it's going to be a fun slate.
Yeah, I think it's a great slate too, and I actually there's a lot of spots I like, so I can't wait to talk to you about them. We're going to be bringing Tyler in here shortly, but before we do that, just get your talk. So this is the time of the year that I kind of start checking the standings every day, right? And a lot of these games, they have implications, and I think, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. If we didn't know about the play-in tournament, as of now, I'm a big fan of it because so many more of these games matter. Where 2 years ago these teams would be packing it in, like the Pelicans, who would be in a big game tonight, right? They would be looking towards the lottery and have no reason to compete, and they're going to be giving it their all. And it kind of showed at the trade deadline. Both the Pelicans, Kings made moves, right, to try and make that play-in tournament. What have you thought about kind of the NBA so far, and is there anyone that's kind of moving up as maybe like a sleeper candidate here to make some noise in the playoffs that we haven't been talking about before?
I think people have been talking about them, but when you look at the odds, so like when I look at the West versus East, I think the West is a lot more transparent in what could play out. I think we have, obviously Draymond, when he comes back, the Warriors are going to be there. If he can, like I don't necessarily know off the top of my head when he's going to be back, but they need him back if he doesn't come back.
When he originally went out, it was like the beginning of January. He was supposed to be back in January.
Right.
Then it got pushed back to all of February. At this point, if I'm a Warriors backer, I'm holding that, Warriors championship ticket. I'm a little worried of when he is coming back. So you make a great point there.
So the Suns are the heavy favorite, but I will say, like, CP3, how's he going to be? He's always been injury prone. Devin Booker, obviously he's been out a couple games now. I mean, it only takes like an injury or two to just derail a team, and then you have some value in like the Mavericks, 40-1. I tweeted it out. I mean, I think Luka is a guy who could definitely carry a team to a championship. It definitely could navigate through this Western Conference. Now, is him and this Mavericks team, are they going to beat a team out of the East? I don't know, but I think there's value in that 40-1 line right now. The other team that you can make an argument for is the Nuggets too. Jokic. So like I'm looking at Jokic, I'm looking at Luka, two guys that can really get it done, get their teams involved. The one thing though, why I do like the Mavericks is Dinwiddie and Brunson, and then throwing Luka in there. You have three guys now that can create on offense, and they've been good defensively. I mean, this team is just in sync defensively, and I think Bertans, he's been bad, but I think he nailed it when he came over in his comments. It's just like everything is crystal clear over here. It's simple. Like there's no confusing offensive plays. We all know what to do. Everyone communicates on defense. That's what you want to see in a team. and that's why that's why I think there's a little bit of a value. The other team that's thriving too is the Grizzlies. So do you have an opinion on the East? Because like the East for me is like, I think Philly is kind of probably a favorite of mine, but man, the East is going to be really interesting.
And we've kind of been consistent on the show saying, don't be confused by the smoke and mirrors of the trade deadline. It's still the Bucks and the Heat in our minds. So, as cool as those moves were, and of course, we haven't seen Ben Simmons get on the court there yet, and hope maybe everything changes at that point. But the teams with continuity, those are the ones that I'm favoring right now. And I think you make great points, especially about the Dallas Mavericks, right? Jason Kidd weren't too high on the hire, right? But we're going off X's and O's. We didn't like the defense he had installed in Milwaukee. But I think sometimes what we forget is like handicappers and guys that are only watching the game is when you're like a legit player like Jason Kidd was, and a player that a lot of these guys grew up watching and really, looking up to and emulating their game after. I think his voice in the locker room resonates a lot more than someone like Rick Carlisle, who might be better at X's and O's, right? Might be better at designing plays out of timeouts. But Jason Kidd's got this team bought in on the defensive end. AP, you and I struggled this week, but let's go to the man that hasn't had any problems at all this week. Hitting all his plays head to head with me on the sheet, hitting the home run play at least once this week. And when you're doing over 20 to 1s at the end of every show, all you need is one a week to be in the profit. Tyler, we struggled, but hey, you've just been surfing, riding the wave. How are you feeling about the NBA today?
I'm feeling good. What do we got? 9 games today, so we'll find some winners.
I need to get my notepad out because the man is here. Take some notes on the show. Let's go, Tyler.
When he's been late a couple of days, right? We've been bringing him in, and the whole chat, where's Tyler? Where's Tyler? And for the old school wrestling fans, I was telling my buddy I work out with, I said, I definitely know I'm the Genetti here in this pairing between me and Tyler. I'm going to get kicked through the barbershop window here pretty soon because everyone wants to see the man Tyler Hicks, but he is here, and we will get right into tonight's slate. Reminder, this breakdown is brought to you by Run Pure Sports. Head on over to runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS to become a member. That will give you access to all the DFS information as well as our betting Discord as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers are out to +7 here against the Philadelphia Sixers. Total 216.5. Cavaliers, team we talked about in the introduction, AP, really disappointed with that performance in the Hornets. I was on them too. Not only do they lose, 60 games in, they haven't lost by 20 points all year. That was their first 20-point loss of the season out of the full 60 games that they played so far. So definitely a disappointment. But now, right, I think we're getting some value here on the Cleveland side, but I definitely want to talk to you guys about it before I hit submit. One good thing about being on the dog, especially going against, heavy public favorite like the 76ers, is patience is definitely a virtue because, the longer we wait, the more and more line value I'm going to get here. And my idea is this is basically, and we'll steal from our guy, JJ, Uncle Dunkle, let's try and sell high, buy low, right? Sixers have won 3 in a row since the trade of James Harden. They've won all the games by at least 20 points. James Harden's been excellent. Didn't get the triple-double last time, right? But he had 20-something points, 9 and 9, right? So, it's so funny how triple-double is so important. Like 28, 9 and 9 isn't a good line here. Not necessarily against the best teams, though, right? Beating up on the Knicks. I don't know how impressed I am with that. This is their first real test. If anyone's got the personnel to slow down Joel Embiid, it would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. The reason I'm hesitant to say that, as a factor in the handicap is Embiid seems like he can beat even the best defenders. So it doesn't really matter who you throw at him unless it's like Al Horford. He just seems to eat no matter what. So right now I'm leaning towards the Cavaliers +7, but I got to talk to the man on the heater first. Tyler, what do you think about that handicap?
Yeah, they do have the defense. I wish all their guys were in. With no LeVert, it's going to hurt their bench. I see Rondo's doubtful, so Garland's going to be their only point guard again. They're 0-6 ATS in their last 6 and 2-6 ATS in their last 8 on the road. Mm-hmm. I think Philly's going to beat them up here spread. Okay. I don't know if they beat them by double digits. They've won all 3 games since Harden's got there by double digits.
Exactly.
But for the most part, I'm going to stay away from the side. The player performance doubles. They got to put Garland on somebody tonight. It'll probably be Maxey. They're not going to stick him on Harden.
Right.
So I like Maxey 15+ points and win at +110. That's probably my favorite play in the game. But I wouldn't hate playing like an Embiid double-double or a Harden double-double and win.
I don't like that. I mean, I really like that Maxey play. He's definitely been the beneficiary, and we talked about it earlier this week, right? Over 20 points in each of the 3 games with Harden, right? Doesn't have to go against his opponent's best defender. AP, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Tyler. So, this might be an unpopular take from a fan perspective, but I do think I love the story. I love the Cavaliers story. I do think they're a bit overrated right now. I love how they're building as a team. I just think they're too young, especially at this point of the season. I think they're going to drop. They're going to be a play-in team. I don't think that's really a hot take, too, because, you got the Nets, you got the Raptors right there. Who are going to start winning games.
Yeah, Celtics just overtook them, right? So, they're down to 6 right now.
Yeah. So it's not. I love what the Cavs are doing. I think their future is very bright. I think Mobley is just. I think him and Allen and Garland are just really just awesome key building blocks. But man, I don't see how you can bet against Harden and Embiid right now, and then Tyrese Maxey too. Shout out to him. He is, he came alive in the third quarter last game. I think Harden's shot was off a little bit, at least in the first there. No, I mean, actually finished the game pretty efficient, but this team's tough. Like, they're going to be really tough. You got Thibault, good defender. Tobias Harris is kind of like, he's just, I don't know. He's going to have to just accept his role. And if he can do that and show up on defense, this team, definitely could win a championship, I think, this year with Harden and Embiid. So, yeah, I actually like Philly, the Philly side here. Usually I'm not betting sides like, this large, but I do think they get it done here against the Cavs.
All right, so you guys think the 76ers
I got a question for AP.
Rolling.
Now, when you say you think they can win a championship, does it worry you both of these guys have a wither-than playoff series before? He's gotten hurt. We've watched Harden just give up on teams. If they go down 3-1, he's just out.
That's why I like. So I put a little bet in just on the future on the Mavs 40-1. I'm like, if they can, if Luka can make a run and beat the Suns, the Nuggets are the other team that I'm a little worried about too. But then if you could somehow get a matchup maybe against this Philly team and Harden, if they struggle down the stretch, who knows? But that definitely is a concern.
Yeah, and I would say, if I were to play devil's advocate there, I actually completely agree with you, Tyler, right? But if Skip Bayless told me I have to argue the other side for the good of the show, it would be that both those guys had to carry so much of the load going into those playoff series that when they did wilt, right, in the game 6s, in the game 7s of those playoffs, they have been dropping 30 and 10 every single night on ridiculously high usage. So, I'm sure that Philly's idea is that we get them here, and they take some of that load off, and they're not just, dragging themselves up and down the court at the end of the season. Go back devil's advocate on your other side. Neither of these guys have ever really shown a propensity for conditioning, right? They're not like our guy Draft Cheat, running 3 miles every morning, right? Before he jumps on the show here. So, I think you got a good argument for both sides, and we both talked about, right, we do like the continuity of the two teams, Milwaukee and Miami. Andrew Melville in the chat brings up a good point, and it's so funny because, and we're obviously doing it for content and to have some fun and, bring out a little bit more of our personalities, especially mine, when I was lamenting the loss of the Heat yesterday. But I already looked at the schedule and I said, boy, I kind of like Miami tomorrow night against Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a hard-fought game. And then I think that game is in Miami, if I'm right. But, Tyler, any concerns about Philly looking ahead? I personally don't think so. When you got a team that's in 6th place, right, and that's been playing well all year, I don't think you necessarily look ahead. But what do you think of Andrew Melville's question about Philly playing in Miami tomorrow night?
No, I think they'll be fine. I don't think they'll look ahead too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're playing, the Thunder, right, or the Magic or someone that you would really look past. Cleveland's shown to be a good team all year. What do you think of that, AP?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, I get that, Philly's second right now, Miami's first. They could be, but no, I think they're going to get it done tonight.
All right, yeah. It should be a fun game. So I'm on the opposite side of you guys, and if you guys have been watching the show all week, you know how that's gone when me and Tyler have been opposite. But hey, maybe I turn around tonight and get the weekend off to a good start. Earlier I talked about the play-in tournament making, most of these games, at least one team has something to play for. One team's looking at the standings every day. Not the case here in this next game, as the Indiana Pacers will take on the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they're not mathematically eliminated. Well, Pistons might be, but the Pacers aren't. But realistically, right, they know they're eliminated. Looking forward to both teams, adding a blue chip talent to exciting young players. The Pacers looking like they're going to be built around, our old friend in Sacramento, Tyrese Halliburton, and Detroit Pistons look like they knocked it out of the park with that Cade Cunningham pick, right? No Zion buyer's regret there for the Pistons with this guy. I'm really a big fan of Cade Cunningham. Think he could be a top player in the next 4 to 5 years. Total of 229.5. Tyler, right? We did pretty well with the Pistons last week, right? With the Pacers last week, right? We faded them the first game. And then, you jump back on the other side. Or actually, you were both on the Pacers both nights, right? But regardless, it seemed like we had a pretty good feel for this team. What do you think about them heading to Detroit tonight after that 2-game homestand in Orlando?
Yeah, I see Cade's listed questionable now. That's going to factor in here. If he's in, give me Detroit to win this game spread. I know it's a back-to-back for them, but they played a lot better outside of that All-Star break. Mm-hmm. I think they could beat up on an Indiana team that doesn't play much defense. And you see point guards and shooting guards have eaten them up 23 points, 3 threes, 7 assists. And for shooting guards, 23 points, 3 threes, 5 assists. So Cade and Saddiq Bey should have big games here as long as Cade plays. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be the way I'm targeting this game. Maybe do a Cade 20-plus and win or a Saddiq Bey 20-plus and win.
Yeah, I do like the Pacers, but it seems like they're kind of like the Kings were before the trade. They're real backcourt heavy right now with Miles Turner out. Who's the one kid that's playing real well for him? Isaiah Jackson, right? He's been doing really good on the court and also in DFS. But, boy, Goga Batadze, I don't think he's going to be in the league too much longer. Rick Carlisle seems pretty fed up with him. His minutes have definitely dropped, and this team's been going small. Pistons might have the size to take advantage of it. AP, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, I like Tyler's. I might have to side with Tyler again. I was just checking the injury news real quick because I thought, let's see. Yeah, well, okay. So Cade, we got Frank Jackson, Cade Cunningham was kind of a late addition, added as questionable. If he plays, I like Detroit. I just, at the same time, I almost like the unders in this game. Like I don't know, 230 almost seems a little like we could get a sloppy game here. I think looking at like the last game these teams, or at least the Pacers played, we got OT, we had a lot of points, and we had a fourth quarter that just ran out extremely pure for those teams. Like Brogdon was incredible in that fourth quarter. I'm not like seeing it here, and I think it's inflated a little bit. So I think the side could go either way. We want to wait on the Cade Cunningham news, a slight lean to the under, but I don't know. These in my opinion, are kind of the trickier spots, especially in DFS, because we have each side not playing for anything. The game can go one of two ways. You can have a really fun scoring environment where little defense is played, or you can just have a really sloppy game where Carlisle's trying to mix up the rotation, and it gets to be frustrating. But yeah, if Cade sits, I'm going to have a ton of interest in like a guy like Saddiq Bey, Jeremy Grant. I probably not Corey Joseph, but I don't know. At the same time, I hate getting heavy exposure to the Pistons too, because more often than not, I end up pretty tilted. So it's kind of a wait and see spot with a slight lean to the under. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and a guy who's up there, Hoop, will appreciate that. Also, I think you have to point out, right, a little bit of tanking involved in that Pacers win over the Magic. And I appreciate the way they did it. They just went under the name of quote-unquote player development. But any veteran that was playing well for the Magic there didn't see a lot of run there towards the end. That was good for Franz Wagner. But hey, wonder if we see a little bit of that tonight. I think that Dwayne Casey has a pretty firm commitment from the team that he's going to be back next year. He seems to have a really good rapport with these young players. So my idea is I don't think he would mind being, getting another number one draft pick, right?
Because he plays them all. Because it's like because he coaches like when I used to coach my son's third grade basketball team. We had to make sure everyone saw the court. That's what Dwayne Casey does.
Yeah, And you
So of
should,
course
because
they
hey,
like.
you might have a guy on the end of the bench that ends up, being a contributor when you're ready to go in 2 or 3 years, and you don't want to just cut him and have him, be somewhere else like the Sacramento Kings did with Seth Curry. But we'll talk about that some other time. The Atlanta Hawks are heading to Washington to take on the Wizards. The Wizards are now catching 4.5. Hawks have taken a little bit of money, but it's easy to see why. 224.5. This is another one, like, if you want to champion the play-in, right? Washington, 28-33. Normally they'd be eliminated. They're in 11th spot, but they're actually one game behind Atlanta for the play-in, right? So, I mean, in a game before where, this would be two tanking teams, tough to handicap, who's going for draft position. Have to believe that both of them, especially on the Hawks side, are going to be going for that final spot. And for the Wizards, they've always seemed to never really embrace the tank at all. They seem to have like a win now owner that doesn't mind being in the middle of the pack. So I'm assuming that we get the best effort from both teams here. Kind of like Washington at home, catching the 4.5, the Hawks coming off a big victory. But I'll be honest, I didn't spend too much time on this one. Tyler, am I just being too dog oriented? How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, don't touch Washington.
Okay.
Atlanta's still fighting for a playoff spot.
Well, Washington is too, though.
But Washington can't play defense.
Okay,
Trae Young's not on this injury report. He's going to have his way with this team tonight. They can't guard centers. I'm not worried about a Conley being out because Capella's just going to eat him up now.
Mm-hmm.
Trae Young double-double and win. Clint Capella double-double and win. Hawks up to about -5.
Okay. Yeah, much stronger take than I have. AP, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just piggybacking off the man right there. I agree with him. So like yesterday, I was, we had like, so the Hawks were the standalone game at 7, and there was a lot of really good spots on the slate. And I was on the Up to Lock show, and I'm telling everyone, I'm like, look, we can fade this spot. Trae Young was questionable all day. Like I didn't even think he was going to play. Then he shows up and just looks so good. So I'm with Tyler on this one. I like the Hawks side here. I think it's a good bet. I think the Hawks are definitely the better team. But I do think, defense, on defense, I think they'll struggle a little bit. So I think this is a fun game to target for DFS. Kyle Kuzma's played really well. Mm-hmm. He's gonna, if the Wizards are gonna, be in this one at all, it's gonna be on the heels of a big game from Kuzma. So I like him. Kind of in a little stack there with Trae Young. So I think kind of an in-game stack there. Those two guys, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, the other guys I'm looking at as well. But yeah, give me the Hawks here and a slight lead to the overs.
Yeah, I mean, my numbers are saying take the Wizards, but just going for matchup wise and the notes I take watching the games. If I did place that bet, where I'm really worried here for Washington is those bench minutes. I think that Atlanta can keep it rolling even when Trae's on the bench, and I think that the Wizards are going to have some problems during those reserve minutes, and that means a lot when it comes to a cover, right? Because we could have a really close first quarter, right? And I'm thinking, plus 4.5 at home, I'm feeling good, right? And then they lose 12-2 in the bench minutes, and then it's just like now it feels like the cover's out the window. So. Something to look at when you're watching that game tonight. Both these guys like the Hawks. I like the Wizards, but they make great points, and I'm happy staying away from this game. The Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this is an interesting game. They're playing the Chicago Bulls. Let me refer back to the standings, and just so you guys know, I'm be doing that a lot for the rest of the year on this show. Milwaukee's currently 38-25. Chicago 39-23. That puts Chicago, who's in second place, a game and a half ahead of the fourth place Bucks, right? So this is a great race here with a lot of these teams. And hey, Celtics at 6, 37-27, the way they're playing, we can't count them out either. So this is going to be a great race to the finish. And this game means a lot. This game means a lot. Both teams know it. Milwaukee coming off that win that, of course, tilted me. And if you guys watched the show yesterday, you got to see my laments about the Miami Heat. But, behind all my Heat slander, right, we had to give credit to the Milwaukee Bucks. Because they showed up, they played defense when it counted, and boy, Giannis is just making plays all over the court. And if you just throw stats out the window and you're watching, right, and Tyler would get mad at me, I'd say Giannis is the MVP if you only watch and you don't have any access to any box scores or anything. And it's just from performances like he had against the Heat, right, making that rotation. to deny Butler's the inbounds, right? If you watch towards the end of the game, he's getting those big rebounds, those offensive rebounds, keeping possessions alive. And a lot of times he's finishing them up with dunks. It just feels unstoppable. And feels like, when he turns it on, it reminds me of that, Miami Heat level LeBron, where when he flips that switch, he's shutting people down on the defensive end, and he's also pretty potent on the offensive end. Kind of like the Heat, LeBron doesn't have the best three-point shot either. So we'll address that later. However, all that being said, let me get all this Bucks praise out of the way before I say I kind of like Chicago. It's another buy low spot here. We're getting +5. The Bucks snuck by the Heat at home. Now they're playing a Bulls team, and Tyler, I already know you're going to tell me they can't play defense. I already know that. I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and they keep it close and they cover the 5 points. Tyler, besides the fact that the Bulls can't play defense, how else are you approaching this game?
Are we going to throw in the other fact that they are 2-13 straight up against winning teams? There is no chance of touching the Bulls tonight.
Okay.
Give me Milwaukee. Giannis and Bobby Portis are going to eat this team up. Bigs against this Chicago team. 23 points, 12 rebounds, 24 points, 16 rebounds. Those two are going to have their way down low. They got the defensive guys to slow these guys down too. Like if Levine starts to get hot, they'll just throw a Holiday on him. DeMar starts to get hot, they'll just move him over there. Maybe
I think as good as Holiday is, I think Levine can get him though.
I don't think
that's just where I'm at. So we'll see. This will be fun.
Yeah, I'm taking Milwaukee here at the short number. You're going to give me less than -5 here. I'll gladly take the Bucks.
All right. Once again, we split, and guys, we're not doing this on purpose. You can see Tyler's jumping on, after we started the show. But once again, we're on opposite sides. AP, Tyler's been hot, but I got to get him some point time. Break the tie here. You like the Bucks or the Bulls?
I mean, so the Bulls are on a back-to-back loss to the Hawks. Obviously, they've lost three in a row. Really tough stretch too. I mean, the Grizzlies, Heat, Hawks, now Bucks. I think it's kind of stacked against them. So, surprise, surprise, I'm going to side with Tyler once again.
And the way the week's been going, I can't blame you. Right? The whole side with Tyler too. So
I don't know. It's like, I think, a lot of pressure on DeRozan, Vucevic, Levine. They need their other guys back. They need Lonzo back, big time. So I'm going to go with the Bucks here. I would just reiterate everything that Tyler said. I do think like Giannis could put up a monster number here. If you can find the value, he's 12-3. So like my one comment for DFS, I like what they're doing with the studs here. They're all priced up. They're not making it easy to just get them because you have many different levels of price players here. And, a guy like Giannis at 12-3, you really want a 70 piece out of him. If he does that, and if you find the value, you're sitting good. I think he could do that here against the Bulls tonight. So I think he's a definitely in play for sure.
I like it too, right? Because it got to the point, let's say some other fringe guys, and I don't know his exact price tonight, right? But DeRozan, if DeRozan's 10-1 and Giannis is 10-9, why would I not just spend the $800, right? But what is DeRozan at? Do you have his number right now for tonight?
Yeah, 9-9.
So he's at 9-9. Now I got to pay all the way to go 12-3 to Giannis.
Yep.
It makes it a little more fun, I think, in constructing the rosters where before it was just too much of a no-brainer to just spend all the way up with Giannis. A hashtag narrative that I missed, and that's why I love the chat, and I always encourage you guys not only to give the thumbs up so we're higher on the algorithm, but go ahead, share it, you guys in your group chats, right? And you guys can all talk about how Tyler's been crushing me in the picks this week. But thank you for Dave here. Hey, this is the stuff that, we're trying to do as much as we can, but we miss some stuff. Bobby Portis likes a tweet of Tristan Thompson saying they would play rough because of the Grayson Allen Caruso stuff from earlier in the year. Bobby P, big petty game incoming. And I guess on the flip side, you could say, shouldn't the Bulls be the ones that are pissed off? But I don't know if they have that nature in them, right? Do they have one of those dogs in there? They all seem like they're just pretty chill guys that like the ball, right? Like who's their enforcer there? Like I don't see a Charles Oakley member. Tyler, what do you think of Bobby Portis liking Tristan Thompson tweets that don't have to do with Kardashians?
They have their fake enforcer. It's Tristan Thompson. He's the dog that's barking behind the fence, and then that fence is going to move tonight, and he's going to go quiet. So they're riling him up. So give me the Bucks even more. Bet them up to -9. They're going to eat this team up. There is no way that they win this game tonight.
AP, what do you think?
Yeah,
Does
I
that
agree.
matter at all? Have you factored that in your handicap? Chris
I
W
definitely do not.
says, Spread, you look stressed out. If you've been watching the show all week and see the way that Tyler's been putting on me, you'd be stressed out too. I got to get my revenge against the Whiz Kids sometimes, right? We don't want to just seed the whole world to the new generation yet.
I
No,
mean,
but
what team could really, realistically, in a fight, go toe to toe with the Bucks? I mean, maybe the Heat. I mean, not even I wouldn't want. I mean, Giannis
only
alone is
maybe the
just a
Nets just because
monster.
you get the black belt. But
That's
jiu-jitsu's
where
rough
I
and
couldn't
street bad.
think of where he was at the moment. I was like, "Where's James Johnson at?"
Yeah, but you know what? Jiu-jitsu's not good in street fights. It's good in one-on-one.
The other problem is
brawls.
The other problem is too is who's helping him once he gets on the ground. It's like
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is probably going to run away.
Yeah.
They're going to break KD.
Yeah, if he's even in the arena. So
Kyrie's going to be burning sage trying to stop the fight.
Yeah. I had to burn sage in this house this week, Tyler, after all the L's you've been giving me. So Chris W says he tunes in every day. Thank you for that. Twatty says he wants to see Portis versus James Johnson. Man, as much of a dog you are, when you go
They
against
got
a guy
another
who's
good point in
truly
the chat,
trained, it
too.
doesn't matter.
It's a revenge game for him. He used to play for the Bulls.
How long ago was that?
2-3 years.
Okay. Well,
we played this angle before.
If Travis Mangone is watching, he just definitely gave the video a thumbs up after you brought that up. Let's talk about the Orlando Magic, right? We talked about them earlier this week. It seems like the tank is on in Orlando, but this is a fun team with a lot of talent. Now, Markelle Fultz sat in their last game, right? But I think he'll be available tonight. They're playing the Toronto Raptors, who was a team that I loved before the All-Star break. I felt like I knew I was getting from every night, and they've been all over the place most recently here. I lean towards taking the Raptors, but I don't love it. It is kind of a tough trip here for Orlando, and also the arena is full again in Toronto. You got to think that the players on the Raptors will get a big boost from that, and of course, we know how it affects the officiating. Right? Going back to that call that went against us on Wednesday, and we all speculated, is that same call in Miami, right? So we know that Toronto will get a little bit of a boost there. Raptors -7 against the tanking Magic. Tyler, are you laying it?
No, I'm not laying it, but I think they win the game. I mean, Orlando doesn't play much defense. Like, if there's ever a spot for Toronto to get right, it's right here. They can hang a big number right here, too. So I kind of lean the over. But I'm just going to go right to the player performance doubles. Shooting guard, centers, and power forwards put up big numbers against this Magic team. Give me like a Trent 20-plus and win, a 25-plus and win, Siakam double-double and win. Or if you can find one on Chris Boucher, maybe 15-plus points and win, because he should get a ton of minutes tonight. But that's going to be the only way I approach this game.
It's funny that you say basically all the positions of the team except for point guard, and that's probably because the point guard dribbles down and everyone else is wide open, right? So Magic definitely having problems defending. Hey, thanks for everybody for joining us. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. AP, how are you approaching the Magic and the Raptors?
Yeah, I definitely like the Raptors side here. I think, I mean, man, they beat the Nets twice. Obviously, it wasn't a fully healthy Nets team, but then you lose to the Pistons by 2 points. I think they rebound, get a big win here. Mm-hmm. And Wendell Carter is questionable, so there could be a little value if he gets ruled out. He's been playing really well. If they don't have him, I just don't think that they can keep it close. I don't see Mo Bamba and these dudes. I guess Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs.
That was going to be my question for you, AP. Let's say Wendell Carter's ruled out, because that's the way I'm leaning. Like I said, this Magic team is already kind of embracing. This is the first time in a long time. They were kind of doing that Wizards mediocrity thing. This is the first time they've embracing the all-in rebuild. I think they're going to be really careful with them. Mo Bamba would seem to be the beneficiary, right, of the usage if Carter's out. Any consideration if he is ruled out? Because that's what I expect.
I think more people would want to play him. I don't know. Like, this Raptors team, they have so much length. Like, I think they can get hands in his face, and I think Chuma Okeke would be the guy I'd look at. He stepped up in that role, and he's shown that he can produce. And the matchup might be a little bit better. So he would be the guy I look at. But it's another one of those spots where, like, I just hate playing these guys who, like, we could see 12, 10 or 10 to 11 guys rotate in. We could see some RJ Hampton, Terrence Ross. Like, I don't know. I think it's a riskier spot in DFS formats against this Raptors team. I like what Tyler had to say, though. I do like the Raptors side for DFS. I mean, Malachi Flynn coming off a pretty, poor performance DFS-wise. I think he rebounds here and has a big game. Gary Trent, same could be said there. Scotty Barnes, just guys that you can lock those three guys in, and you have a really good start to your build. Put those three guys in, and you're like you're ahead of the curve. I mean, a lot of people are going to do that, but it's definitely.
And are the Raptors kind of blowout proof? I mean, do the guys get minutes even if they're up by 15 in the fourth?
Yeah, they just don't have, like, Thad Young could sit again. Like, they just don't have a ton of dudes right now, and they play a tight rotation. So
yeah,
I would say somewhat blowout proof, but to be determined.
All right, let's check in with the chat. Our guy Robert says Barnes been taking over without Van Vliet. And then I want to throw this one to you, Tyler. Our guy Jonathan Nelson. Boy, I didn't do the Lakers recap because that's getting kind of old. But hey, I enjoyed that last night, Johnny. Scotty's up to 29.5 on PRA. We were loving the 26.5. Does the 3 scare you off, or do we go back?
I mean, I don't hate tonight's probably the best night to go back, even with the inflated number, because if Wendell Carter's out, he's just going to grab more rebounds, and there's going to be no defensive stopper for him. So he could put up 20-some points right here. So I still don't hate that play.
All right, love it. Our guy Dave, Barnes 3 straight double-doubles with OG out. Definitely keep that in mind for those performance doubles. Robert, again, Bamba had a great game, but he's so unreliable, and I think you got it there.
Yeah.
Our guy Bart says Siakam's priced at 9,100, playing like he should be 5,100. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they lowered that price, if people were willing to roster him, or they're just looking at the recent game logs and scare him away. All right, the Utah Jazz are heading to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. Pelicans are +4 at home, 222.5. As you guys heard me lament as well, the Pelicans essentially, wasn't official, but they essentially eliminated the Sacramento Kings with that 30-point win on, I think that was Wednesday night. Now they take the court at home again against the Utah Jazz team that, hey, these Jazz are kind of undervalued, especially in the regular season, right? And we know why. They do this every year, and then they disappoint in the playoffs. So nobody talks about them. Like, when we're doing that, beginning of the show where we're talking about who could win, right? I mean, we didn't even mention them as a possibility or having value it out. But, quietly, they've won 9 of their last 10 games. They have the highest scoring offense in the league here. Jake Degenerate says, why are the Pelicans catching points at home against Utah? And my answer would be that, like, yeah, you can beat up the Kings by 30, right? You can beat some of these lower teams. But the Jazz are on a whole nother level, especially in the regular season. I think the Jazz continue their streak here. I like a lot of underdogs today, but this is one favorite that I like. But, boy, the way things are going this week, Tyler, my guess is you're on the other side. What do you think?
No, I'm on Utah here. I think this is the same. I think it's a spot where, just like you said, they're undervalued. I know they play worse away from home, and this team kind of matches up well with them. They have the bigs to throw at Gobert. They have the guards to match Donovan Mitchell's production with CJ in them. So it's kind of like I get why it's only 4, but give me the better team here. Give me Utah. I think Gobert will eat him up in the paint. He'll be able to stop him late in the game. And I think that total's a bit short. I would go over. I think it should be closer to 230.
Yeah, I mean, Utah, I think they're a good defensive team, but they do play high pace. And like I said, the highest point output in the league. Our guy Dave, again, AP, and I think we have to keep this in mind when we're building lineups. Mitchell, over 30 points in 4 of his last 5. How are you approaching this game?
Yeah, so I think this is one of the interesting games to watch tonight. Like the Pelicans with CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Jackson Hayes. He's looked really good. Herb Jones, he's been very good defensively, and then Big Joval. I think they're pretty tough. I think it's close. I lean the points, but I hate betting against the Jazz like in the regular season. It's like it's not fun, especially with Rudy Gobert back. So for me, I'm probably going to be off this one, and it's just going to be a game I watch. I definitely think it's viable in fantasy. Like Donovan Mitchell, 9-3. I don't think it's too much. And All you want is the Pelicans to keep this one close. Mike Conley's getting more minutes too. We've seen point guards, even point guards that distribute first, shoot second, have done well against this Pelicans team. So I like the backcourt here. And Gobert, I think it's just, man, it's tough. Like, this Pelicans team has been much tougher on bigs. So I'll probably be off of him. I'm not a big Gobert fan anyway, in general, unless he's playing like the Rockets or something. So, and then it's CJ. CJ McCollum's priced way up there, so he's much tougher guy to play. But yeah, so I'm probably going to be off the Pelicans side. They're all priced appropriately, a lot of usage to go around. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch though tonight.
All right, and Tyler in the chat's got a question for Tyler on the screen. Rudy over 26.5 points plus rebounds. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, I like that. He should be good for about 12 to 14 points here, and we all know he's getting double-digit rebounds, so I like that play.
Number one in the league, averaging 14.9 rebounds per game. So, Rudy's one of those guys that maybe more of a cash game look, right, AP, because he's got such a high floor. The Minnesota Timberwolves will head to OKC to take on the Thunder. The Thunder catching 9.5 at home, total 230.5. Tyler, I'm going to keep this one short, right? We keep betting on the Thunder when they catch a lot of points, and we win a lot more often than we lose. The Thunder have been very kind to me so far this season. I see no reason to go away from them. Do you have a reason for me not to take the 9.5 against the Timberwolves?
No, I'm with you on OKC here. I mean, and Edwards out for Minnesota. Jared Vanderbilt listed questionable. I know that the guys are still out on the OKC side. Dort, Favors, Giddey, all the key ones. A couple of the other guys really don't play much, but got to take OKC here. I mean, I know Cat could eat him up down low, but we seen him in that game against Phoenix they played recently where we thought Ayton should eat him up down low. The moment he catches the ball down low, they send a double team and force somebody else to beat him. So give me OKC here. I think SGA is going to eat up D'Angelo Russell too and Pat Bev, so he's going to hang a big number. So I think they keep it within double digits. Give me OKC.
All right, love that we're on the same side. And AP, we got to get credit. I think it's pronounced Mark Dejanel, right? It's the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Even with 5 days on the injury report, they're all out there trying hard and committing to the double teams. So this is a group of players that I think they know, even if our future's not on the Thunder, we got to put some tape out and we got to catch on somewhere in the league, right? So I feel like, unlike some of these other tanking teams, we get a great effort from the Thunder every night. I'm pretty happy taking the 9.5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this team, they do play hard. Like, it's crazy. Like, they just, like Isaiah Roby coming off a monster game, 51 DK points. Shout out to our boy K Fallick. He was all over him, and just this team in general. But yeah, I think this is a good spot. OKC ran a 9-man rotation last game. I like their side, so I'm with you guys on that. And this is going to be a really good game to target in DFS because we see the Wolves get lazy on defense all the time. They're going to be without Anthony Edwards, so you're going to have more usage for D'Lo. Cat. This game stack is looking really, really nice to me tonight. Again, OKC has been a team that's hurt my feelings, but SGA has been phenomenal. Like, I'm fine paying 10-3 for him right now with how good he's playing. I know, he didn't get it done relative to his price against the Nuggets, but he can easily put up 60 plus here against the Wolves. Trey Mann, another guy that's playing really that has a lot of upside and is starting to come into his role. Still a volatile player in DFS formats. Poku, he's a guy that's going to get a lot of minutes. Darius Baisley, I think he's got kind of a tougher matchup if Vanderbilt plays. I think Vanderbilt's questionable. If Vanderbilt doesn't play, I think I would give Baisley a pretty big upgrade there. But this game is going to be fun to target. I'm not sure what to do with the total here. It seems a little high, but again, we could see some pace here. We could see some good scoring. So I don't know if I'm going to touch it. I lean OKC plus 9.5 and love a game stack here.
Yeah, I think you do too. Our guy Bart wants to know about this one, Tyler. Seems a little high, but also seems maybe right. SGA over 27.5 points.
No, I like the over there.
You do, huh?
Yeah.
That's a lot higher than we usually get for him, right?
Well, he's putting up 30 plus in a lot of these games since the break when he's come back. He's the only offensive guy. He's going to get a ton of usage. I like the over there.
All right. Well, Bart will be happy to hear that, and I am too, as a guy that's got a Thunder plus 9.5 ticket in my pocket. And you know what? Normally we talk about, if you're taking the dog, you can wait. I actually think they'll take a little money. Thunder second in the league ATS this year.
One last thing, spread. So everyone's going to look at Roby, and phenomenal game, 50 plus DK points. He was excellent. If you're a tournament player, we've seen it all the time. Like if he gets off to a tough start or whatever, I would look at Olivia Sarr. Not a guy I know too much about, but I know a lot of our guys, Big T and stuff, were on him last game. Obviously had a dud because Roby was going off. No one's going to play him. Everyone's going to look at Roby.
Right.
But guys, 3-1 and could definitely produce here in the right game script. So he's
and that's a good strategy, right? Don't go right back to the guy, just like when we zigzag in these games.
It's a recency bias. We all do it, but yeah.
Especially if you cash with Roby in your lineup, right? You want to just throw him back in there.
I think I'm going to play. I think I'm going to play Sarr in one of my lineups. I'm just running two tonight, doing the Up to Lock show. It gets when you're doing the Up to Lock show. I mean, shout out to JSU. He does such a phenomenal job with
so
that.
Good. Yeah.
It's hard to manage. So I always have to dial back how many builds I'm making because it gets tough to manage with all the news hitting and answering questions. But shout out to him. He does it, and he's a winning player. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I always tell them when they come, I'm so impressed, when I watch the content, how quickly him and Travis can just get news on the fly, right? Because sometimes, there's some pivots we're preparing for, right? We talked about Wendell Carter Jr., right? That's a pivot we're prepared for when we get that news. But when we get this news out of the blue, right? Some player that wasn't even on the injury report all week, and all of a sudden they're out, and he's just able to target the people right off the bat. That's the kind of great content people love at Run Pure Sports. And if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, go ahead, become a member. Of course, you will get access to the Up to Lock show. If you're not ready for that yet, we still, we're here for the people. We have the Hardwood Live show that's free every day. But once you start investing a little more money, right, spending a little more time on it, there's no better bang for your buck than becoming a member of Run Pure Sports. Use the promo Get Bets. You'll get access to Tyler's daily parlays, the Sports Keg, JJ, Joey Work, and myself, Score with D. We're all giving out plays and giving you some advice in the Discord as well. Promo code Get Bets. Become a member. Don't know what you're waiting for. Houston Rockets plus 13.5 against the Denver Nuggets. Total 239. Nuggets, this is a pretty easy one with the Thunder, right? The other night when they were catching 14.5, and not only did the Thunder cover, they win straight up, and they win by 12. But we talked about it, right? This Nuggets team isn't a team that blows teams out, and with the Thunder, right, a team that's been keeping things close all year. I felt that was an easy bet to make, and no hesitation at all when I'm hitting submit. But do we want to go back to that same one against the Houston Rockets team that's lost 11 games in a row now? The last Houston Rockets straight up win was on February 2nd, man. So there's got to be a little bit of frustration in that locker room. Now, I know these guys are all kind of just playing AAU style and getting their reps and, getting their highlights and getting their numbers. But you got to wonder at what point, right, does this frustration kind of boil over here? And you got a bunch of players on the team that can only go one way. A bunch of guys that put up great numbers and look great on the offensive end, but some of this defense has been seriously lacking. So this is a tough one for me, right, Tyler? Usually we like to fade the Nuggets going against, these big point spreads. Also another reason we like to fade the Nuggets, they're absolutely terrible when Jokic isn't on the floor. So even if Jokic gives them a 10-point lead, it's down to 4 by the time he checks back in. But is the Rockets the team to do it with? I think this is a tough game. I think they put the line where we're real hesitant to try and fade the Nuggets here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll take Rockets here. I mean,
okay, Denver couldn't do it.
They couldn't beat OKC. Houston is showing frustration. I mean, they just took Utah to overtime.
Yeah,
that was they're fighting for that next win. I see Schroeder's doubtful. Jayshawn Tate and Eric Gordon are both off the injury report, so they'll play.
Gordon's big for them.
I'm going right back to Tate's points, rebounds, and assists over 20.5. That's going to be my favorite play in this game. But for a side, give me Houston here.
Do we dare sprinkle the plus 802?
I mean, I would personally, because I don't trust Denver as much as you guys do.
Uh-huh.
And I think they're known to lose games like this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, if they weren't coming off a loss to a bad team, I think it'd be a lot easier for me to jump in there on that. So I'll probably stay away from the money line. You made some good points for the point spread, but I don't know, AP. This is tough. Is this a game where Denver kind of gets their frustrations out? They had won 6 in a row before that loss to OKC. So, obvious letdown spot. You can't be on every night, especially in the grueling nature of the NBA where these guys are traveling. And, I think they play too many games. But how are you approaching this game, AP?
Yeah, this is another game DFS wise that I think we can stack up. So a lot of people will look at that spread and they'll be, a little bit weary of it. But I mean, when you look at it, defense, like you said it best, like when Jokic is off the court, teams come back against them. The other thing is like Houston doesn't play defense at all. So Jokic is going to get whatever he wants. And then you're going to have, then the Nuggets struggle defensively as well. So that's why the total here is 239. If it's still at that number. And this is one of the other games that I think goes lower owned than the previous game that we talked about, OKC and the Timberwolves, because of the rotations. The rotations here are a little bit more unpredictable than the Oklahoma City situation, obviously. But I think this is a game that you can stack up. Jalen Green, he's been getting blowout run no matter what. And he's been chucking when he's in there. And shout out again to K. Fallick. Rockets are his team, but he's been talking about that quite often. He's been spot on. Christian Wood. I mean, we saw what Roby did. You could go Wood or Sengun. Sengun, obviously, much riskier. But Christian Wood is still priced in a playable range. And then Kevin Porter Jr. also at 6K. This game is going to be an interesting one to stack up. And the only guy I trust is Jokic. On the Nuggets side, maybe in a blowout. So one thing I'm kind of, they quickly corrected, or maybe overcorrected Boogie's price tag.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he was 3.9 or something, I would love him. He's not going to play 20 minutes, but man, he can put up 40 in like 18 minutes, 19 minutes in the right matchup. And this tonight is the right matchup. I don't know if I can play him though at 4-4. That's just, gosh, he could absolutely crush you, but when he's out there, he's getting all the usage and he's just doing everything. So it wouldn't surprise me if he put up a respectable number. I just don't think it's going to be enough, like in tournaments, to win because he's just not getting the minutes.
And hey, Boogie was out here, right? And I don't know. I really didn't like his on-court demeanor. I thought it was kind of frustrating to watch. But I've actually seen him out and about in town, and he was really active in the community, and it made me like him a lot, right? And I understood that that's kind of just the way he gets himself into the game, and while I didn't necessarily agree with it, there was nothing I ever saw from the guy off the court. I saw him out, and about multiple times. I was younger then, right? He was always super cool out, and he was involved in a lot of charities. So I really root for him, and he's reunited with the coach that he had here in Sacramento that they got along with so far, Michael Malone, and the loss against the Nuggets. Against the Thunder was only the second loss for the Nuggets since they've added Cousins to the roster. So, hey, sometimes these buyout deals or these guys that we look past really can make a difference. And DeMarcus Cousins is showing that. Hey, efficient tonight. We're not going to go into the hardwood show. So I'm sure everybody appreciates that, as the New York Knicks will be our featured game of the evening on ESPN. They get a standalone game. I don't know if the Knicks fans will be excited about that. The way that this team's been playing. Tyler, we've gone over the problems with the Knicks multiple times this year, so we don't need to go back to them in detail, but we are well aware that this is a struggling team that is catching 6.5 points in Phoenix, taking on the Suns that are still without their starting backcourt. Am I right? There's no Booker tonight, right?
Yeah, no Booker tonight.
Yeah,
Paul's still out.
Yeah, Paul's going to be out, I think, until pretty much the playoffs. Booker should be back anytime soon, right? He's in the health and safety protocols, but that usually lasts a week. And I think what night was that officially announced? It was Tuesday or Monday. So, by this time next week, AP, when you're on the show, Booker should be back in the lineup, and hopefully he'll be 100% here. I don't know how to approach this game, Tyler. We don't really have much on this Phoenix team without both players, right? I mean, I felt like they could absorb the loss of Paul fairly easily, especially in the regular season. Because it just gave Booker a little more on-ball time, and it felt like, he could use some of the stuff that he learned and use it right without the mentor right next to him, trying to set up the team, lead the team, control the pace, control the tempo. Still not the best passer, right? Not as crisp as Chris Paul, but he's definitely getting there. Now they're both out. It's tough, right? The team didn't look too good in their last appearance without him. How are you approaching this one?
I mean, they might not look too good against Portland, but they still ended up winning that game by what, like 20-plus points?
Yeah, good
I
point.
mean, they were dancing around the court. They weren't even warming up before the game. They were just listening to music. Now, this is a little bit of a harder matchup now against the Knicks. They at least have some guys that can play. And I see Randall's calling out the team for defense. So if he lit a fire under anyone's ass and they come out and play some defense tonight, this could be a little bit closer of a game than people expect.
Wouldn't that be like me calling you out for picks? Like, he's not a very good defender.
I mean, I guess so, but it's like you gotta rile up the team somehow. You can't just be quiet the whole time.
I guess so. And let's go back. We'll refer to the standings once again here. Where are the Knicks? Are they? So they're 25-37. They're 4.5 games behind Atlanta. I guess technically still a spot, but in my mind, I don't really think they have a shot. Do you think that they think they have a shot, Tyler?
I think they think they have a shot, but I don't think they have a shot.
Yeah, interesting. So after all that, so what's your pick then? You like the Suns?
No, for the most part, I'm going to stay away from the game. I'm not touching that one.
Okay. Not even like a performance double? If you did do the performance double for the Suns and the win, who would you choose? Ayton, Cam Johnson?
Probably an Ayton double-double, maybe a Jay Crowder 3+3s. If they list one for campaign with assists, maybe that. But I don't see much listed right now in that game.
And would you be worried about Ayton matching up with those bigs out there in New York?
Not really. I mean, Mitchell Robinson's built like me, and Randall's 6'9".
All right, great breakdown. AP, what are your thoughts on the Knicks and the Suns? I know we want to end with the bang, but I'll be honest, I think it's a tough one to wager on.
Yeah, I think the line here is really sharp because on paper, I think a lot of public bettors, maybe are going to look at the Knicks and be like, man, this is a good spot for them. The Suns without CP3 and Devin Booker, two of the stars on their team. But if you just look at like the Knicks, I mean, they're like 1-12 or something. They've lost so many games. They just look so bad defensively. If they were to win and to keep it close, has to be due to RJ Barrett having a big game. I just don't like the matchup for him at all. Mikal Bridges, very good defender, so he's going to lock him up. This Knicks team is a disaster right now. I think the Suns are going to get it done, but I'm with Tyler. It's a hard one to bet for sure, but I do think the better side here is the Suns side.
Yeah, well, you made a good point. Knicks 6 in a row in the loss column, 1-9 in their last 10. So this is not a team playing good basketball. But hey, especially if you're out here on the West Coast, kind of a game to enjoy not being involved in, right? Maybe you get to take your girlfriend out a little early or spend some family time, right? And you don't have to watch all the way till 10 p.m. or 1 p.m. for you guys out there on the East Coast. So maybe a little nice, get to bed early tonight. We got a big weekend here at Run Pure Sports that I know AP will detail that for you guys at the end of the show. But right now, I don't see him in the chat, but I know he watches because he lets me know. He said he might fast forward to the end. But he does always catch this segment. So we always appreciate the support from Gregory Russo. And that's because we're giving him the best bets. Tyler, start with you. Best bet for today, side total or prop.
Give me Milwaukee minus that 3.5. If you can't get the 3.5,
it's down to 3.5.
Well, that's what I see it listed on Basketball Monster by 3.5. It could be. I'd bet it up to 5.
It's all the way up to 5 on book.
Yeah, I would. All right, then Milwaukee minus 5.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't care. You said all the way up to 9, right?
Yeah, they're going to win this game. I'm not worried about Chicago.
All right, we're opposite there, so we'll see who gets the bragging rights. But if you've been watching all week and you see how stressed out I look on the screen, it's because Tyler's been getting the better for me, so keep that in mind. AP, what's your best bet today, side total or prop?
Yeah, I'm gonna, I know I like to bet overs, but I'm gonna pull one, and I'm gonna go OKC Wolves under 230.5.
Wow, that's the upset. We had you at plus 800 to give out an under all year.
Oh, seriously?
I'm just messing around, but boy, yeah, that.
Oh, that would have been a good. I mean, that would have been.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good bet right there. But no, okay. See, they're playing good defense. They're playing hard on defense. You gotta really appreciate how they're playing on defense. So I think I don't like. I think the line is just a little bit over inflated. So I'm gonna go with the under in that game.
And I agree with you, right? I think that Dejanor, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, my apologies, but I think he's really got these guys to buy into the idea that, hey, even if your future's not on this team, right? Because we have 17 draft picks in the next 2 years, the tape that you're putting out, like the NFL, is going to land you on other teams, right? They're going to see this hard defense. They're going to see you as a role player that could contribute to a winning team. And I think the team's really bought in to the defensive philosophies. And I'll be honest, they play defense harder than some teams that are in the top 8 of the conference, right? I've seen teams that are in the top 8 that can score so well that they just ignore the defensive end. So you got to give the Thunder credit there. Let's see, boy, I was going to take the Thunder 14.5 as my best bet, but you guys know I love that. What's another one that I can throw on here? Let's see. We're not taking the Bulls. You didn't like that one. No, I will go for the Thunder. No, you know what? I'll take the Jazz. I'm going to take the Jazz minus 4.5 here. Boy, this was 3.5 last night. The Jazz are taking money, but I think it's for a good reason. I think it's a strength of schedule type deal. And you look at the Pelicans, and yes, they've been doing good, but not against a team the caliber of the Jazz. And let's throw the Jazz lack of playoff success out, man. This team eats in the regular season. I think they continue to do so tonight. And I know they really want this win. And you got to think about it, right? Not this just show, but anytime these guys tune in, right, and they're doing things like the AP and I did to start the show, where we're talking about contenders, talking about value. I mean, they're completely overlooked. And I think the team is completely aware of that. And I think we get a good effort from them every single night. I'll take the Jazz minus 4.5, but just so you guys know, I love that Thunder bet too. So AP, I told him I would do it, but we got a big weekend here at Run Pure Sports. What's the content that you're looking out for?
Yeah, so MMA, NASCAR, we have NBA, obviously. We have new Showdown content, so we're doing a round 3 Showdown show tonight. We'll have another Showdown show tomorrow night, and we're also having NBA shows now on the weekends with NFL gone. So you'll get Glock and the boys on Saturday. Tomorrow, I'll be on the show with Mangone and I think maybe Titletown on Sunday. So. Lots of stuff over here. The other thing too is I think we're going to put out a bracket for March Madness, so that'll be coming out here in probably this next week. So I think we'll have some prizes too. So it'll be a free roll. I think the top prize might be like free annual membership that covers everything. So it's going to be a ton of fun.
All right, Tyler, and as fun and as personable as I try to be, the chat's made it clear they tune in for you. Any words of wisdom before we go? Or actually, do you have a home run parlay? Before the words of wisdom?
Yeah, I threw one together for us. I mean, we like Atlanta to win that game. I think Trae Young double-doubles with assists. They don't have the double-double lineup yet, but they do have Trae Young 10-plus assists in Atlanta win. So we'll make that the first leg. Bobby Portis is liking posts from Tristan Thompson talking about beating up his players. I think he's going to have a big game. Portis double-double in Milwaukee wins.
I mean, can you imagine 20 years ago? And Tyler, and I know you were only 4 years old then or whatever, right? But the idea that we would be handicapping games based on who liked what post on the internet, like at the dawn of the internet, when it took me, 5 minutes to download a picture of the moon and it went line by line. That would be, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but boy, that's just so funny to me that it comes into our handicap.
Yeah, and then the final leg will be Rudy Gobert double-double and win. That gets you 21-1.
All right, and since I interrupted, we'll go over that again real quick. It's Trae Young. What was the numbers there?
10-plus assist, Atlanta wins. Bobby Portis double-double, Milwaukee win. Rudy Gobert double-double and win.
I love it. Thank you very much, Tyler. Any words of wisdom for the people before we sign off?
Oh, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Remember, brought to you by runpuresports.com. Use that promo code. Get bets. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Hardwood Live starts in just 12 minutes. Plenty of time to hit the workbench with the young lady.